Whoa, right here we go live. Good job, buddy. Welcome. Oh man, I just got a good lift in, so my arms are kind of crazy on camera. Just want to say, it's not.
You know, I usually put my phone here, right? I usually put the phone on the top. You usually put it on top.
And then they put that
You want to put it there?
no, the higher version, and then put the light on. You know. Oh man. Hey YouTube, welcome. We'll be getting started shortly. One person was on, they dropped. They said y'all ain't doing nothing yet. We'll come back doing it shortly.
I'm sorry, I thought you put it there.
Got the music on you. I think it feels like I should.
I can't see.
I can't. I'm fine.
I just couldn't see.
Oh man, feels good.
Is it straight?
Move it towards you. That's good.
That's what we got to figure out a lot in the view.
It's tough. We just gotta move it back to this.
But
I like the new setup, you know? You guys decided to change things up while I was going, I see. I love it.
you always have to move it close to you for you.
Love it. I mean, it's good. Listen, we are related. We can get up
There
with
it
each other.
is. There it is. There it is. There it is.
As I said, I did just see the gym though, so I'll be mindful.
Anyway, welcome to another episode of Yours Truly, Chris Bender Sr., above average black man.
Chris Jr. here to empower, inspire, and uplift the community. Happy to be back.
And Dev Pender here to say like, follow, subscribe, share, comment, interact with us. Give us some feedback if you like.
Yeah, definitely need that. Definitely appreciate that. I feel like we definitely get the views and the watch after we record and post this up. But for those who do join us live, we certainly appreciate it. We try to read and get to the comments as they come in, and definitely make it a part of the show. So continue, and let's get started. Started.
Above average black man. Welcome to the show. The title of today's show is The Power of Forgiveness. It's for you. So how I came up with that topic is, and that was all the way I do a poll, but I'll get to that. The topic is simple because there's a lot of people out there who just don't know how to forgive.
I mean, myself included in some situations.
To it, but most of the time, probably 99.9% of the time, you're the only one that's upset. The person who you won't forgive is living their life. They just going on, man. And you carrying this thing around and it's weighing you down because when you think about it, you get pissed off. When you think about it, you get frustrated. You kind of have this albatross that you carry around because you're upset. So when you forgive somebody, it's not so much about them, it's for you too. It takes a burden off of you too. And I think the big misconception around forgiveness is we think we forgive somebody, we're letting them off the hook, and we're not. We're not saying that that's okay what you did, not by any means. What we're saying is, okay, I recognize what you did, and I forgive you. Now, be as wise as a serpent, as harmless as a dove. The Bible tells us that. You don't go back and smack you again, but you just got to move on. Like, I know people who haven't forgiven dead relatives. The father did something 40 years ago, and they carry this torch around, and at some point, you got to let it go.
Yeah, I think it's a lot more people in society that are probably less forgiving. And again, as I mentioned at the top of the show, sometimes myself included. I think one thing that you find it hard sometimes is and I've done it. You say you can forget or forgive, but then it's like you don't necessarily forget, and then sometimes you get right back in that space of thinking of how this person has done you wrong. And in some cases, yeah, it may be a situation where you don't have ties to that person, you don't see him again, you go about your merry way. But what about those instances for people who may play a significant role in your life, and you find it hard to forgive that person? You probably see it in marriages a lot more today, where people are separating because of some type of thing that has happened, caused a strain, and they can't move past to forgive.
Well, see, I think a lot of times you choose not to move past. I'm not saying you wake up the next day and man, everything is fine. No, it sometimes when you get hurt, it takes some time to heal. But what I am saying is you're never going to heal if you don't let it go. For instance, if Devin did something to me, and every time something happened, I keep bringing it up, and I'm never going to get over it. If every time something happened, yeah, remember this, I'm never going to get over it. I got to begin to let it go. I got to begin to say, you know what? It happened. I can't go back in time and change it, but I can change me. I cannot be bitter. I cannot allow it to make me to the point where I'm upset all the time. I'm frustrated all the time. Or whenever I hear his name or I see him, we got to move beyond that. And but I do agree with you that and I never took this larger poll, but I agree with you. Probably 60% of society doesn't know how to forgive. I think there's a lot of people walk around, not just marriages, see all the murders and stuff we see in the
You
streets.
just say it, and nobody really means it or knows how to move past it. And I guess I keep bringing up the part of, I mean, you can simply say that you forgive, but like, all right, what are some ways in which you can actually like do it? Because again, I find myself in the past saying like, yeah, I forgive this person, and you start thinking about like all the things that were said or done, and you just like, maybe I shouldn't forgive this person. Maybe I don't want to. Like, is there ever an instance where you feel like it's okay to just be like, yeah, I'm not forgiving this person. They crossed all lines, all boundaries. Like,
See, I don't think there's ever an instance. I think, now I didn't say you let them back in your life. I'm not saying that y'all become best buds again. But what I am saying is, just listen to what you said. When you think about it, what it does to you, not to the person, it's doing it to you. So you're the one going through all the frustration, and that person now 10 times done moved on.
so I
They
guess
don't know you going through all that.
we're talking about it in the sense of just like forgiving them without actively saying it to them.
Well, see, I think
Like, oh, I
I
forgive
give you
you.
a perfect example. We had our men's group, and I was so impressed with this. We had our men's group on Saturday, and I'm not going to say names or anything. So, and one of the guys brought up that he really felt like he needed to go back. He's married now. Everybody's happy. Go back to his ex-wife and apologize to her because he wasn't the husband he should have been to her. He felt there's something I see look on your face,
like,
but he felt
whoa.
like there's something and I was really thoroughly impressed with that
Danger.
because well, he wanted to bring closure.
Closure to what?
His whole thing because
Get married.
nah, but he still he needed. There was a part of him that felt like that he knew he was wrong, that he knew he caused this person a lot of pain, and he just wanted to go back and let her know that he recognizes that he was wrong.
And did he like ask for forgiveness?
Well, he wanted to, but that's a whole different story because he's married now, and they're trying to.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that's a little complicated.
No, but
Like,
I understand how he feels. I understand exactly how he feels. You want to set the record. Not everybody, but most people like me. I do. I don't want to walk around carrying a grudge, mad at somebody, because first of all, it's messing up who I'm trying to be. But second of all, I don't gain anything out of it. I just add frustration to my life, especially if every time I think about it, I get upset. Or every time something happens, I'm going back there again. That's not letting it go. Every time something happens, you go remember when. That ain't letting it go. That's the first thing. Sometimes it's a day by day thing. Sometimes you gotta say, you know what, I'm gonna put this behind me. I'm gonna move on.
It's hard to let go because that one that definitely takes being the bigger person.
And what's wrong
in
with
my
that?
opinion?
What's wrong
But
with that?
second, it's like human nature is I'm petty and I
No.
I won't forget even if you say you could try to move on or whatever. Like that doesn't necessarily mean like I'm still upset about it. I'm just not gonna forget it. And if I don't forget it, then
it does. Or sometimes it bubble up, and I think the unfortunate part, even thinking about that in a grander scheme, is that people carry that on. If we're speaking about relationships, carry that on to the next relationship. Sometimes.
Bingo! I was just about to put it. That's why people never, not never, but that's why some people struggle when they in the second and third and fourth, fifth, sixth relationships because they haven't let it go. And every time something happens, that becomes the reference point. Every time something happens, that's what she or he did. It could be 20 years ago. And you misinterpreted what I'm saying. You can forgive somebody and just move on, not carry that boulder around in your back pocket. I didn't say you totally exonerate them from it. I didn't say that, you did this and I'm giving you a free. I'm not. I'm just simply saying, you know what? I forgive you because for me it's over and done with. Now I'm not gonna give you another chance to do this to me again. that's a whole different story. But it's over and done with. I'm not going to sit around and say, hey, man, this happened to me 20 years ago, and here we are 20 years later. I'm still upset about it. I'm still dealing with it. That person is going on, living their life, and I'm the one walking around carrying the boulder around my neck. I got the millstone. I'm weighing myself down. I'm emotionally distraught now, and I'm in a new relationship, trying to be a new relationship, and I'm still dealing with the old baggage. So that's another reason why you can't keep carrying this stuff with you, because it'll go everywhere you go. It's like people. My least favorite thing, I know you experienced it. On my last job, well, this is the way we've always done it. It's the same thing. Let it go.
Hate it.
Yeah, let it go, because apparently, is the reason why you're not at your last job.
Yeah. It's just, you know what though? Do you feel as though, are there things that are unforgivable? Like, are there lines that can be crossed and it's just like, it's no turning back from that?
But I can't answer this. The unique thing about forgiveness,
like, you put your hands on me, it's a wrap.
But the unique thing about forgiveness is different for everybody. And I think that's the one thing I think people are wrong when they try to sit back and try to tell people what they need to do. So everybody has a different thing, a different tolerance level. Everybody has something that's just the breaking point. We all do. Mm-hmm. All I'm saying is, for me, on my belief system, especially if you are a Christian and follower of Christ, you got to learn to forgive, man, because you figure, my spiritual, God forgive us no matter how dumb and stupid we are. No matter what we've done, no matter what we did or what we will do, He forgives us.
Well, Rick Ross would say, God forgives and I don't.
Yeah, but and Rick, that's why Rick Ross, people like that deal with so many demons, man, because you carry it around. Lack of forgiveness sometimes creates lack of trust. Because now you carry on because somebody hurts you. Now you're in another relationship and you don't trust them. Because you never dealt with the hurt from the past relationships. This is someone who's giving you their all. And you just can't, because you dealing with some crap from the past who probably moved on to a whole nother relationship. Lack of forgiveness sometimes blinds you to what's right in front of you, because you so busy dealing with the past, whatever you're dealing with, you don't recognize what you got in front of you.
But I even think that makes it hard sometimes. You're talking about like forgiving somebody who doesn't even care. You know what I mean? Like,
but it's not. That's why we said it's not for them.
Care about.
It's not for them. It's for you, because you can't make them care. But if that's even worse. If you know they don't care and you still carry around a grudge, you still upset, you still frustrated, you still.
I guess I'm looking at it as like, I wouldn't give the person satisfaction of even letting them know, like, I forgive. Like, just letting them know, like, hey, I know, don't cross me again. Like, I feel like that's how I look at it. It's like, like, yes, no, that it has not been forgiven.
Like, you can forget, and sometimes you just gotta say, it's over and done. Nothing I can do about it. And now I gotta make a decision. Do I let this continuously be this millstone around my neck, or do I move on? I know what happened. I'm not gonna let it happen again. It wouldn't be, but I gotta move beyond it. Because I don't want to carry it to any new relationship I get into. I don't want to take that baggage onto a new job, a new career I'm trying to do. I don't want to cast it on to my kids. Because my daddy hurt me, so now I'm gonna hurt my kids. There's so many dynamics this thing that I think people don't look at.
I think that's what I was thinking about too. Like, just the different scenarios that you either read or you hear about. Like, there's people who've been scammed out of millions of dollars. There's people who, like, they lost loved ones, or like just vicious stories that you hear, like just cold killers almost. Like, and some of those circumstances, situations, like I can't find myself to be like.
This is why I said it depends on the individual, because there's people out there who stood up in courtrooms.
I know.
I don't know if I could do it, so don't. I'm not saying. But there's people who stood up in courtrooms and said, "Judge, I forgive you," because I forgive him. There's from all kinds of what we may consider an atrocious crime. Yeah. So that's why I said you can't determine what somebody's threshold is. But that's like me saying, "Oh, don't be hurt by that." I can't control that, because what hurts you may not mean that much to me, but it's important to you. But what I'm saying is, each individual need to check that, because that's why we have now society now, because you do anything wrong, I'll kill you. You do anything wrong, so that's part of the problem, man. In some of the smallest stuff, we retaliate a lot because we can't forgive.
But if you knew that somebody wasn't going to forgive you or something, would you think that you might have a different mentality a little bit? Like, if I knew that like, man, if I cross this line with this person, like in a relationship, if I know that like cheating or whatever, like that's a no, like ain't no coming back from that. It makes you think about it. But it's like, no, I know there's no forgiveness from that. Some people don't care.
I didn't say take them back. That's not what I said. But most people who've never forgiven the past person, and I look at relationships, they carry that back into the next relationship. The next relationship, if she 5 minutes late, where you been? He 10 minutes late, where you been? I never forget there was a guy I was dealing with, and he was in a situation where he and his wife kind of had, a misstep, falling out, and he was talking to somebody, she was talking, nothing happened, but they both were so screwed up that he write down the mileage in the car, so you know how far I go to work back and forth. Yeah,
the gas is at 3/4 tank. You got it back here.
The mileage. It takes you 10 miles to get back. That she was because they never sat down and really talked. They never sat down and said, okay, how do we move beyond this? And if you don't solve something, it doesn't go away. You learn how to hide it, you learn how to deal with it, but that's not dealing with the situation. So a lot of times you don't forgive, you carry it. It's like it's the same thing. I laugh and joke. There's certain people who I saw today now, and that's why I can relate to Michael Jordan's story. Who I saw today now, let's lace them up. Because I remember, man, and you probably feel the same way. You get certain people that just bring out that competitive thing.
I just know they can't check me.
They bring out the competitive thing. So think about that. And that's, you can't forgive somebody every time you see them, these emotions coming up. It's not healthy. It's not healthy. And you should be able to say at some point in time, I use another example. My thesis on Epstein deaths with death for bad incarceration. I've interviewed over 2,500 people, women, family, whatever, to get to the point. There's a lot of people in there, man, who were screwed up as dads because of what their dad did.
Yeah. I mean,
because I'm mad at my dad, so now you take it out on your kids, or you take it out on your wife, or you take it out on your husband. So
I think the idea in talking about fighting forgiveness is one, like, what are the steps even that you would take to do that? Because I think that's we mentioned in reference is like, man, how do you go about it? It's not simply just saying like, I forgive you and it's over. Like, you still have these thoughts.
It's work, I said that at the beginning of the
feelings don't disappear just because you say it.
It's not. I said that at the beginning of the conversation. It's not going to just go there. But first, it starts with a decision. This is what I'm going to do. Doesn't mean you're going to feel the same way about it every day. Doesn't mean that. But the decision is, I'm going to do this. It's like anything else. If you decide you're going to do it, you're going to stick to it, or you're going to try to stick to it. Versus, I'm going to try whatever I'm going to do is what you got to tell yourself. And yeah, there's going to be days when you may not feel like forgiving. There's going to be days when you may be hurt. But daily, as long as you keep trying, it gets better and better and better. So the first thing is you got to say, I'm making my mind up. The second thing is, and this is what people get screwed up at. Most people find it hard to forgive. Worry about what other people think. They get caught up in some cases. No, and what I mean by that is they do. A lot of people, they hurt and wounded.
You think you look silly to somebody else. If you're like, I forgave him.
Not just somebody else, but the average person. Like, man, I can't believe she put me through. I can't believe he put me through this. Man, if somebody knew, and you feel bad.
We're saying I couldn't forget that.
Yeah, you forget. Yeah,
you did.
Especially a lot of people make it a community conversation now. They go tell everybody. Yeah. So that's another key ingredient. So then the second thing that I think is really, I just decided to put out there that's really important. Daily, you got to try. I'm gonna get up today, and today I'm gonna try to focus on something else. I may fall short, but every day I'm gonna try to focus on something else. I'm not gonna focus on what this person did. I'm gonna try to find something else to focus on. Maybe it's your writing. Maybe it's going to the gym. Every day I gotta find something to replace this thing that I'm focused on this thing. Yeah. It's a daily thing, and then you gotta accept that some days it's not gonna be all that cool.
And I think that is probably a key conversation point to have. It's just like, it's not going to take place in a day. There may be some days where it's not even gonna cross your mind, but then one day it might be that one little thing that triggers you.
Commercial perfume,
and it just like sends you there. But then that's almost just a test of, do you really forget that person?
But that's when you got to tell you. That's when you got to tell yourself, okay, I'm not going to draw this out all day. I'm walking the mall, maybe maybe Shay has some perfume that you gave her, and you smell the perfume, and you think about it. You know what? I'm gonna get out of my head as quickly as possible. I'm not gonna let this become something that's going to go on. The third thing is you gotta stop talking about it. The more you talk about it, the more it gets embedded in your head. You got to start. Sometimes somebody do something to us, and we tell anybody that listen, we tell, and we keep talking. Every time we talk about it,
then why not sometimes that like minimizes
you relive it.
You keep talking
no,
about
it don't. You relive it.
Vent about it.
There's
a difference. You tell me to go see a therapist and talk about it.
There's a difference between venting and talking about it continuously and constantly to each and every. There's a difference.
It's like maybe there's a difference. 6th, 7th time.
There's a difference going to a confidant and saying, "Yo, this is what I'm going through," than everybody you see. That's different because you're never going to get rid of it that way. It's never going to go away. You're always going to be different because every time you talk about it, you recreate it in your mind.
I don't know. Like I almost feel like the opposite of that. Sometimes
you know that ain't true.
You
not over
and talk about it.
Yeah, but you can get it not over and over. You're not getting out your mind if you talk about everybody.
You minimize it.
No, you're not.
It's like
this story. No. Man.
Sometimes the more you say, it's
the less emotional you get about it. You hear yourself.
And that you feed that though.
You hear
the more you said, the angry you get.
I don't think you get angry.
Yes, you do.
No, you don't.
Yes,
not
you
necessarily.
Do.
Some people might, but then if I keep saying it, it's like this the 5th time I told this story.
It's like
I've been in that situation, and then I laugh by the 5th or 6th time. Like that's funny.
It's like growing up. Yeah, but you know what? You still hear it. It's like growing up. There's people who there's guys I grew up with. We just didn't get along for no reason. And funny stories. One guy that we just never got along, man. And he used to hang out with a bunch of guys, and every time he was with them and I was by myself, he always tried to start something. So fast forward later, grown now, y'all little kids. I'm walking to the supermarket. I see him. I'm ready to get him. I take a step back, like, yo, it's over with. It's 20 years. I was like, so we do relive stuff, and I do agree. Everybody reacts differently, but you got to put it to bed because the more you talk about it, if everybody I see, I'm having this conversation over and over. I'm reliving it in my head. I'm bringing it back. How do you ever forget something that you keep talking about?
Because I'll share my story of the egging. I had a situation, just like an argument that led to me getting hit by an egg by my ex. And because in that moment I'm livid. I'm like, what is going on? But then I had the conversation with you. I had the conversation with Devin. By the time I got to Justin and I'm talking to him about it, it's like, wow, this is. I know for me personally, I'm like laughing at it. It's like this is laughing. I can't believe this actually happened. And to me, it like helped to just kind of say it that many times and just like in a way, kind of minimize it.
Just because you laugh at something does not mean
I'm minimizing.
No, what I'm saying is just because you minimize something or you begin to find it humorous doesn't mean it's put to bed. It doesn't mean that it's over. It just means that you look at it a little differently. But there's some crazy people who laugh before they do crazy stuff.
Yeah, but in my mind, like you trying to call me crazy?
I'm just saying laughter is actually because there's folk out there.
But I'm just saying in my mind, again, that helps me to like. It probably did help me to relive it and minimize it in my mind to just be like, wow, yeah, that was crazy. Man, it wasn't probably anything that I could necessarily do to change the outcome of that situation. But it was just like, it made it easier. I looked back, laughed at it, moved on. Instead of being like, I'm just keeping it to myself, thinking about it, festering like,
I counsel couples.
She don't cook no eggs. No eggs in this house.
Talk to people. And I've seen so many people when they start telling a story, they get angry. They get angry, and luckily they tell them to somebody that's not telling them to go get revenge or feed that anger. But there's a lot of people who relive stories. You'll hear people talk about something they father did 40 years ago, and when they talk about it, they'll get emotional, they'll cry, they'll do something. There's people who can't look at a movie because something comes up in a movie and it brings the rage. Like I'm like that. I cannot sit there and look at movies about slavery and all kind of injustice and stuff because it pisses me off.
Mm-hmm.
It makes me angry. I cannot be in a conversation with somebody. It was funny because not angry, it frustrated me because Martin Luther King's Day. And I was having a conversation with somebody about. I still think there's a lot of people who don't understand the significance of Martin Luther King's Day. So it was brought to my attention that somebody said, a Caucasian person didn't understand why I was a day off and all that. They said it's the same as Juneteenth. That irked me. And the person don't know I know, but every time I see him in the back of my head, you don't even understand our culture. So how much of what you're saying to me, how much is that true?
Yeah.
Are you trying to appease me? Or and so those are the things pop in my head. Now the person never said it to me, actually said it to another white person, which kind of made it interested. But yeah, but that bothered me. And if I keep talking about it, if I'm talking to somebody, it bothers me more.
But you know what though, I think is like a key part of the story that I told, and you kind of mentioned this or alluded to this before, is who you are talking to.
Yeah, that's true too.
Certainly matters. Like I mentioned Devin, I mentioned you and Justin, like 3 people that I feel like one can challenge me. You actively listening.
And I'm
to
sure
me.
Justin told a joke.
I'm
sure
Justin, and just like
sure
repeating, it's like, wait, what? Say that again. Like allowing for me to kind of be vulnerable in that sense and seeing the humor and taking a step back in it. Like I really think it matters who I spoke to in those situations that helped me get through it and get to a place where I can come out on the other side.
And let me add this to it, because what you said makes sense. It's also, why are you saying it? Now, if you're saying it because you really believe it's therapeutic, or if you're saying it because you just want to keep saying it,
just want to vent, yeah.
Because you just that's another thing.
Sympathy.
Because and at least you just said it. You dealt with it each time you talked about it. Some folks just talk about they never deal with it. They never deal with the situation. It's always they're so busy trying to figure out whose fault it is, instead of saying, at this point, it doesn't matter whose fault it is. How can I move beyond this? I don't want to be in another relationship. Now, if you came to me and said that, you can't eat eggs anymore, you don't want to date a girl with eggs in the refrigerator, that's a problem. No, I'm saying, I'm not dating a girl with eggs in the refrigerator. That's an issue. That's an issue. Or if you're in a restaurant and you freak out every time they walk into your table with eggs.
Put the eggs out, please.
So I think forgiveness is something that we really need to talk about more and more and more, because without it, you can't move forward. I give you a perfect example. I bring it to race. There's a lot of Caucasians who are really angry with themselves, and they can't forgive themselves. So therefore, it becomes this big issue. It becomes, every time somebody talks about it, you blaming me. Nobody blaming you. You weren't even alive since then. But that's what happens when you deal with stuff like that. You begin to internalize some things, and things that's not really applicable to you can become applicable to you, because you're dealing with guilt. And because typically forgiveness and guilt kind of go hand in hand, because didn't you question yourself sometimes? You do. Why I can't forgive this person? You do. You ask that question sometimes. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. All these other emotions come out of this thing. So why don't you just forgive it and move on? And I'm not saying go back and give them a round 2. I'm not saying you gotta, smile at it, but let it go. People walk around hating each other, man. And life expectancy is between 76 and 76, 78 years old now. How much of the time are you gonna waste?
I think another thing, just a part of my story too, is like I found it a little bit hard to forgive at a point in time, because it felt like somebody put you in a place that you're not used to being in, or comfortable being in, or take you to
disrespecting you,
and then making me like react in a way where don't necessarily want to react. I think that also is another thing. Was like, wow, when somebody takes you outside of your normal realm of things, like it really is hard to like forgive that.
And I get that, but that's also life.
Yeah,
there's going to be, if you go through your whole life,
and who it comes from matters.
If you go through your whole life and only one thing happens to you, if only one thing happens to you that threatens taking you outside of your realm, that's pretty cool. Think about it. There's going to be multiple times in your life, man, where people will have an opportunity to take you outside, take you somewhere different, take you out of your comfort zone. You got to learn how to manage it. Yeah, again, this sounds crazy, but that was my responsibility. If I continuously let people take me there, that means I'm not controlling some emotions.
Like another thing though too is like it's more easy for me to forgive probably somebody that I feel like I probably don't even know like that,
Yeah, because
when it's somebody that you know, they in your home, they in your camp, they in your circle, it's like I think that makes it that much more difficult to just be deeper. Yeah.
But see, and this goes back to I flip my psychiatrist head over to the side. did you really know them? And I say that because a lot of times we think we
And
know
that's the part
people.
that probably hurts.
A lot, yeah, right. That's I was about to say that. A lot of times we think we know people, but until you experience every situation with a person, you don't know how to react. Just like when I hear people say, man, if this happened, I would do that. You don't know, or it's like I use football as a perfect example. This big whole thing about Jalen Hurts and all this stuff, and all of a sudden you can't read defenses on 1 year, which is dumb and idiotic. It's easy for you to sit there and say, do this. 300-pound lineman ain't trying to rip your head off. You sitting home in your living room.
Mhm.
You got a chance to see all this stuff. He's not seeing what you see. He doesn't have the eyes on top of the field. So no, I can't believe he didn't see the open receiver. Yo, if you're running for your life.
That's why you don't need the VR headset.
So I'm just saying, but it's easy for somebody to sit here and say, oh, I would do this, I would do that. It's like, I use the same analogy. You playing basketball. I never forget playing basketball, and we were playing against Niagara. And we were down 3. With like 7 seconds to go. And I get a steal, I go down, and I was trying to get the foul, but the guy wasn't fouling me fast. So I went on and made the basket because the guy was, he was, and I didn't want to waste the time. So, they get the ball in, game over. And so this guy walks up to me, man, you should have just jumped backwards into the guy. Dude, that's an offensive foul.
Not back then.
Yes, it was. That was an offensive foul. You couldn't jump. You could stop, but you couldn't jump back into the guy.
Young
You could lean into the guy, but you couldn't physically jump back in because that is an offensive foul. And they were called. It's like even because I had it happen to me before. If the guy's behind you and you trying to get and he's clearly not on your back and you jump back, that could be an offensive foul. It depends on the official. Dude, you sitting up there in the stands. So you seeing me and him, so you can kind of calculate this. I don't know what this dude is behind me. I know I'm trying to slow down and he ain't catching me. So that's my point. People who are not in your situation will always have an opinion, but you're the one that got to deal with it. You're the one that got to say, look, hey, and you don't know as much as you think we know about some people. There's some people who lay on the table, but there's some people who don't. Like how many people what it's like when they get out. You don't know until you get in that situation.
Mm-hmm.
How many people gonna come out and tell you, well, I'm just super jealous, in this relationship, man. No, but when you get in a relationship, you find out.
Before you go into it,
so you do find those things. So this goes back to what I'm saying. You're right. That's the part that hurts because you think you know somebody, and when you think you know somebody and they do something outside of that realm, it hurts.
Yes.
For the same token, what does it profit you not to forgive? What do you gain by not forgiving? That's my question. What do you gain?
Resilience.
How many people gonna hurt you? Become resilience.
Resilience, tough skin.
Yeah, Now, is there such a thing as being too forgiving?
I do think that. You want to know why? Probably.
Why do you think it's too forgiving?
Because I look at this almost from a business standpoint. I understand we're talking about just relationships and like people in a general sense, but
in all areas of life we're talking about.
Yeah, but for me, when I think of in some cases, like in business, there is no forgiveness. There is no turning back. Like you're axed. If you make such an egregious mistake, then there is nobody that's just like you might have a little grace period, but if it's that bad, no, you're gone, and it is no looking back. Like what? Let's bring it back next time. Give them a go. It's like you have that stain on you.
Or politicians in general, say like they didn't do something right the first time, or they may have said something.
But you can't use politicians because we still vote for them, man.
They
go with a new story 4 years later, man. We pull the lever, man.
But I'm just saying, like, and that mentality too. Like, I don't know. I find it sometimes where you don't forgive all the time, and part of me feels like,
but I do.
That's okay.
It took work for me to get here, but I do. I don't hold grudges because it's not worth my time.
Not necessarily holding a grudge, but it's just like you made the choice.
There's nobody who I would say I have not forgiven. There's now I'm not saying you let them back in your life and do some of the same stuff. I'm not saying you walk around high-fiving each other, you see each other, no. But there's nobody, that I can say I've not forgiven. And I think it's important because I don't do it for them, I do it for me. I do it for me because I want peace. I don't want to be laying down thinking about what somebody did to me, coming back, pissing me off. I definitely don't want to interfere in relationships. Like, I've been with your mom 39 years, man. I don't want to bring crap in that happened before that into the relationship. You don't. Even, I love my mom and dad to death. There's things that occurred in my family, that I didn't bring into my relationship because I didn't want to pass it on. At some point, because there's always going to be somebody who's going to do something you don't agree with. So that's another thing. I'm not saying you, but there's some people, they get mad over, they go because, could you co-sign for me? No. Dude, your credit score is lower than the ERA. Somebody's ERA in baseball. But that person is upset. So I mean, there's so many things now that we do, that we really got to let go of.
Again, in my mind, I just like I'm trying to. There are situations where it's like I know I'm like that, where it's like, all right. Especially again, business-wise,
Well,
I feel like you've made enough of a mistake.
I'm not saying it's not, but I'm curious. What's too forgiving?
I do feel like or believe sometimes it's circumstantial. Again, just in my mind of recent events I'm thinking about in business. Like you have times or opportunities where somebody makes a mistake, you let them know about it. You go give them that like verbal warning. Boom, they do it again. All right. Now it's like you give them the written warning. And then at some point in time, it's like either you're willfully just not taking heed to what's being said, or is it just that you're not confident enough?
But at what point? I get it. But what point do you think you've been too forgiving?
At what point do I think I've been too forgiving? If you make such an egregious mistake where it's like, again, we've talked about this. You know how I feel about this. Like I think that's where it's like, okay, you're taking a chance or that liberty to just do whatever you want in disregard of me. So it's like, you know what? I don't have to forgive you. If you already know, like, this is a line to not cross, and you take that liberty to do that, it's like, oh, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I feel like there's people who like may be a little bit
take
too
advantage of it.
Yes. If you're too forgiving, like people take advantage of that, just feel like they can run all over you and that, they can do whatever they want to do, and you'll be back. I'll be back. I think that's an issue with being too forgiving.
But you can make it clear. You can make it clear to somebody that this is it.
Life is choices and consequences.
I agree.
You taught me that.
I agree.
What is the consequence if
from the
messes
up? From the business side of things.
Just talking.
From the business side of things, I understand what you're talking about, because I say it all the time. It's either skill or will. Either they don't have the skill, they don't have the will to do it. So I don't disagree with you. But if that person does not have the will, I'm not gonna let the person get me up to the point where, there's a situation, we talked about it, and the guy that they end up letting go, and I've been over backwards to try to assist him to get stuff together, and I think it was a combination of skill and will, but I think because he lacked skill, he didn't necessarily have the will. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because I think every time he tried, it didn't work out, he would just not try. However, I'm not mad at him. Yeah, do I feel like, okay, yeah, maybe I kind of gave him a few too many chances? Yeah, but I'm not mad at him. I wish him the best. And I hope he figures out, dude, you need to figure out, first of all, you're too old to be in this little space in your life right now. But if you're trying to accomplish things and you want to improve your life, you got to figure it out. But I'm not mad at him because that's his choices. He has to live with his choices. Choice and consequences, that's what he has to deal with. Mm-hmm. But he can never honestly say I didn't give him every opportunity. But I'm not mad, do I feel like, man, he kind of made me look bad? Yeah, but I'm not mad at him. I wish him the best. I'm not gonna allow him to think, because to me, if I allow him to make me angry, I now give him control. And I refuse to do it.
A point to make too is just because I don't forgive you don't mean I'm mad at you. It's just like I feel like
if you ain't forgiving somebody, it's something. I'm not saying you gonna run him over with a car or something, but if you're not forgiving somebody,
I'm not gonna deal with that person or tolerate them back in my life at the level of which they were before.
See, this is a mistake about forgiveness. Forgiveness doesn't mean you let them back in your life, man. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that. No, forgiveness just means that you created this offense. Guess what? We not gonna be friends with it, but I'm not gonna stay and dwell on. I'm not gonna walk around hating you or harboring ill feelings. But we're not cool. Forgiveness is not saying, okay, you give them a second and third chance. That's not forgiveness. Forgiveness is saying whatever offense you did, I'm not going to dwell anymore. You're cool. You got that. See you later. Peace. You're not getting a second chance. And I think, and that's forgiveness. Now, I think it's different in the situation. It depends on what the crime is, because, some people just, they don't. I mean, I look at business, and we talk at the business aspect. And today I had to remind myself today, man, that, some people just, see, you were raised that way because you want things. You're motivated. You're motivated to do things, man. So that kind of drives you. That's your engine. But I had to come to a place to realize there's a lot of people with a motivation. They lack motivation. They lack motivation. So I can't be mad at them because that's who they are. Yeah, I think you should want more, but I'm not going to let them make me angry, because now, I'm going into their world, and it's not worth it. I'm not going to give them that kind of power over me. You get a little frustrated, because I'm not saying you don't get, because you do get frustrated. That's human nature.
Yes, I do.
But I can choose if I'm going to be petty about it. I can choose if I'm going to allow this to go on and linger and linger and linger. I can choose that. That I do have a choice over. I can choose if I'm going to be 5 weeks out, and I know you're not saying this, but I'm going to be 5 weeks out, and I'm still going to be pissed off, angry every time I see somebody. I get to choose that. And the minute you give somebody that power, you give somebody control over you, and I refuse to do that.
So, do you ever think there is an instance or situation where somebody cannot be forgiven?
I don't know, because like I said, it's different. Like I would, for instance, as a Christian, and some people ask me this question. I couldn't sit here and tell you if somebody hurt one of y'all that I would be sitting there talking about forgiveness.
I'm just saying the same thing. Like,
I couldn't say that. I would like to think I could. I would like to think I would be able to. I do, but I don't know that. So when I hear people say that, man, people just, you don't know what you would do in that situation. I would like to think I would do the right thing, but I'm sure there's millions of people out there who got in situations and thought they were going to do the right thing until the situation happened. Then all of a sudden, you didn't do the right thing. So I can't say, but I'm saying everybody needs to start thinking about, who's that person that you need to forgive, man, that your life is messed up because of. Who's that person, man, that you're harboring these ill feelings against, man, and is impacting you more than anybody else, or is impacting your relationship. You need to think about, how can I get rid of this burden? I'm not saying you fight the person over, but how can I get rid of this burden? Because it's not for you. I mean, it's not for them. It's for you. It's to help you feel better. It's to help you move on. It's to help you do some cleansing. And you need to do that.
Yeah, I mean, part of me thinks it's like, some things are in moderation.
Well, let me ask you, some people deserve it, some people don't. Do you think you forgive somebody? Think that's a sign of weakness?
Ooh,
I'm asking. I'm not saying you do. You don't. I'm just.
That is a great question, and the reason, like, I'm kind of
in
a way.
You think it's a sign of weakness?
Why do you think it's a sign of weakness?
It depends to me.
I feel like it definitely does depend on the circumstance, but in a way, it just makes me feel like I have to be the one to like take that first step, even though I wasn't wrong, even though like I was the one that did wrong, like it just makes me feel like, oh, I gotta forgive this person just because they did me wrong.
I think it was Shannon Sharp that I heard say, or somebody with some southern thing, like when Jesus said, "Turn the other cheek," he meant turn the other's cheek. Like, I'm not at
Me too. I think that was.
But no, because it is.
I think that was Shannon.
It's tough. I do almost feel like it's situational. I do think, again, where I said it's like sometime in moderation. Like, I do feel like there is such thing as being too forgiving.
Like, if you get an apology, it's like, all right, I can forgive you. But me just outright being like, even though you did wrong, I'm still going to forgive you. It doesn't hit the same.
So let me ask you a question. Because do you think? I mean, and be honest. When you process it that way, are you thinking what somebody else may think? Do you think somebody else is thinking, man, maybe I'm giving them too many times, or I should do this, do that? Is that part of your process?
Now I just said it. I can see that a little bit.
I mean, I think a little, but no, not really. I personally, maybe that's something in me where it's just like,
no, I'm just asking
because let this person get over on me.
When I was younger, and this is why I asked the question.
That's what
when I was younger, I think about growing up.
Oh, you messed up now.
I think about growing up
back.
where I grew up at, and I think about how there were fights that I got into that I probably could have avoided. I got into them because I did worry about what everybody was going to think. people around me, how I was going to be perceived. I did. There's things I said that maybe I shouldn't have said that I regret saying because people were around me. And I didn't want to appear to be a certain way. Even when I first got into corporate America, I think I was a little rough sometimes on staff and stuff because people watching, or man, they heard what they said to me, so I got to come back loud. And, now as I'm older, I don't have to. So that was a driving force behind some things I say. When people says, man, I don't know how you let that go. Okay, because you're not me. But for me to have that peace, I have to. The guy I was just talking about, I felt really bad when I had to let him go. And it wasn't my decision. I kind of felt, that's another perfect example. They made a decision when I wasn't there, and then I had to carry it out. I'm not going to be mad at everybody because it was the right decision to make. I don't agree with how it was done, but me being angry and being frustrated and carrying it doesn't fix anything. All it does is it makes a toxic environment. Whether it's work, whether it's relationships, it makes a toxic environment.
Part of me just also thinks of like maybe another reason why I lean towards being unforgiving sometimes. And even again, just thinking as somebody who's an entrepreneur starting out running a business, it's like kind of how do you want to be seen? How do you want to be viewed or respected?
But that's my point. It goes back to what somebody else thinks. I'm not saying you shouldn't, but I'm saying
to an extent, like that does matter because like if people have this perspective of they can do whatever they want, then they'll do it.
No, but it doesn't mean you have to let them. See, a perspective is almost like a non-fact. It's a theory. It's a theory. It's not real. It's just somebody's opinion. So I get what you're saying. I think people are more apt to try stuff if they think that you are, but doesn't mean you have to be like that. It doesn't mean you have to be like this because they think that. That's not what
I guess I get the disconnect. If I'm just knowing some people that I work with, like, and try to make things happen with, and they just always so forgiving of certain things, even regardless of how serious the offense may be. Like that person that is giving that forgiveness, they just like, all right, I can do whatever I want. Oh, this person, they gonna take me back in. Like I think some people kind of take advantage of situations.
I agree.
So I think that's forgiveness. I'm all for dropping the hammer. Like
I agree that some people take advantage of the situation, but also, see, to me, I think I got to answer to me. First, foremost of all, I gotta be true to me. So I don't. In all honesty, I do think about people from the outside, and okay, now I know I'm going to have to deal with this again because the way they think this is being handled.
Yeah.
So, but I know how to deal with it. I know how to cut it off. But I'm not going to take it on this person who's in front of me, because I want to cut everybody else off at their knees. So I think, that's another thing about forgiveness.
Somebody's going to have to be made an example of.
Yeah, but see, I don't agree with that. I know a lot of people do. And I hear it a lot. And I think sometimes, you may get pushed into that situation because it may be a trend developing amongst a group of people. Mm-hmm. I think all too often we say it with the first person, regardless of what's happening. We just, we gotta make sure everybody understands this. And why? Or you got to show people I'm tough because I'm not going to forgive somebody. Again, that hurts you. And then it also does because what happens if somebody who may really like you, but see that stoic side of you, see that stark side of you, and feel like, man, I don't know, because I maybe I'm not going to live up to this person's expectations. Is that how I'm going to be treated?
I will say sometimes it does come back where people think I can be mean. Where I don't think that's the case sometimes. I just feel like there are times where you have to take a hard stance.
Let's see, that I would agree with. But that's a difference from being unforgiving. There are times when you got to say,
my stance sometimes is unforgiving.
But no, your stance and unforgiving is different. Sometimes, you do have to say enough is enough. That I totally get that. But what I mean by unforgiveness is if 2 weeks after you take that stance and you still harbor those ill feelings, that's a problem. That's a problem. If you said this is the deal, this is the way it's going to be, and you were confident what you were supposed to do, what you were supposed to say, you know what? You shouldn't be walking around 3 weeks later. Like, you shouldn't. That's unforgiveness. They could, whatever they did that was atrocious or egregious, whatever you want to say, let it go because you already took your stance. You already gave your whatever it is you want to do about it. Don't dwell on it. That's all I'm saying. You already did what you felt like you had to do. So why are we still walking around angry? You know, and it's the same thing in relationships. And I hear you say about the eggs. You know, but you know what? Well, people know when they mess up a good thing. They do. They know when they mess up a good thing. And I'm not gonna say I guarantee.
They don't sometimes they make a mistake.
They know they mess up a good thing. Right? But this goes back to
what makes me more mad.
This is how unforgiveness gets in the way, because I don't know, and this is totally speculation, but I'm pretty sure our friends probably kind of in that same pattern, and what I do, in her mindset, you know, not realizing she's dealing with a different type of dude. Again, because you know, that's what happens when you don't forgive somebody. You go to the retaliation right away. You don't think about, you know, there's other ways to do this. You go right to retaliation. You go right to get even. You know, and that's the problem we have now, because the first thing everybody's thinking about is how to get even, not how we can resolve this. Not is this relationship worth saving. You know what? So many more good things happen than a few bad things. We don't think like that.
But you know what else is funny too? Like, it's just something to think about or add in here is like nobody wants to forgive somebody without hearing an apology. You know what I mean? I forgive you,
and that's fine.
And they ain't even say sorry.
But that's where you're at. But I'm not there. I don't expect an apology. I don't. I'm past the apology point, because some people don't even realize it. Man. Some people, their pride get in the way, the ego. You know, there's so many reasons why people, you know, and I'll say this, you know, you may or may not heard the story, but you know, my sister and I, God rest her soul, you know, we went that whole stretch, man, and I never forget how, I said, you know what, and I was never angry at her. I wasn't. I just decided I just wasn't going to mess around anymore. I wasn't angry. I wasn't upset. I was just in a different place. And I never forget when I said, okay, you know, I'm gonna call her, and I called her. Left her a message, said, yo, you know, we need to get together, you know. And I said, I'm sorry. I didn't say sorry because I thought I was wrong. I said sorry because I figured let's build this back together. I had no idea she died that day. So I never got a chance to say that to her. I had no idea that. Then later that night I got the call. So I'm saying, you know, I'm glad I wasn't pissed off and angry and all that stuff, because I would have had to deal with that after the fact.
Yeah.
So you never know. And you're right, everybody's not going to be that close, so every situation will be different, but you just don't know. You don't know when the last thing, that conversation you have with somebody is based off of hate or retaliation. You don't know. You know, the first, you know, the second and third week of this year, you know, or the first 2 weeks, matter of fact, I take it back, I went to 3 funerals.
So question for you.
So you don't know. So when we harbor it around, man, and then again, as men of color, that's why we have ulcers and, you know, all hair loss and all kind of crazy stuff, man. Because we do harbor these feelings, man, and you got.
We're not allowed to talk about them. That's why.
No, but see, that's another thing about unforgiveness, because you know I'm not going to talk about it, man. You know, but the problem with it is sometimes we hard on ourselves than anybody else because we don't forgive ourselves.
I think actually, I don't know. We still got a couple more minutes here, but like, do you even think like? I'm not to necessarily make it a gender thing, but like even as men that, you know, we may be a little bit more willing to, or like not forgive in certain circumstances, like cut people off in some senses, or is it opposite? Because I think like, I don't know.
That I don't know. I mean, I think kind of got to be a woman to say that.
No, it's just like
I'm a little biased. Like I was talking to 4 women about this today, you know, and they had the line in the sand, man. Like, yo, it's hard, you know. But also know with them, this goes to my point, it's hard because of a history, not because of one thing, because of a history. And when you have a history of things that you don't forgive, you just ain't gonna on the 5th offense turn around and say, I'm sorry, because you've already built that up. You already keep a score. So that's what I'm saying. You know, just, and I'm not, again, I don't want to repeat what I'm saying for people out there that's listening or whatever. I'm not saying that you make it okay for people to screw you up. What I'm saying is that sometimes you just gotta move on and let it go. You can't dwell on it. You can't be waking up in the morning, going to sleep at night, you know, wishing, cursing people, you know, hoping they fall or the bad stuff happen to them. No, you gotta let it go. You know, and because one, to me, it says more about you than them. If you live in your life and you allow somebody to keep getting that much of your attention, that you pissed off years later. You know, 2, it's not healthy. And part of this life is self-care. And life is precious, man. Come on, 76, 77 is like the average age. How much time do we waste? I did a eulogy at a funeral, and that's my subject was life. You don't talk about death is life, man. This thing called life. I did the same thing. I used that topic when I spoke on the Sunday service for my class reunion. We were, because we don't appreciate life, and one of the things that hangs us up in life is unforgiveness. We so caught up on not liking somebody, and it's just sucking time away, valuable time. It's interfering with our current relationship because I'm mad at so and so because she did me wrong, he did me wrong. So now I'm so busy frustrated that I can't enjoy what I have in front of me.
Yeah.
So I mean,
I think the one thing is, like you said, like a lack of forgiveness can definitely hinder future relationships and take away from people being able to live in and enjoy the moment. I'm still in the fence because some people I'm like, wow, put that X down. But again, I'm also thinking of like sometimes just having the business mindset.
Okay,
y'all, I went to school for HR. Y'all think I'm sick for wanting to fire people, but it's part of the job. Like some people they deserve to go.
Yeah, but you know what? But they still deserve to have their dignity intact. I had this conversation with somebody today. I do believe you reach a point where you have to understand in our business and even in relationships where enough is enough. I do believe you reach that point where
enough is enough.
Well, you do when you say enough is enough. But I also believe in how you conduct it. I think that's equally important. How you handle the situation. And I can't speak from somebody's perspective, no matter how crazy they do. How I handle the situation matters. And I also think I can't let it get personal. Because I am not the job. I have a job. I am not the job. Even if people work for me as a contractor in my nonprofit, they're performing a service. And so that's another thing. We make stuff personal, so it's easy to harbor unforgiveness. Everything is not personal. And then even in a relationship, to me, I think if you're in a relationship, if somebody hurt you, did something crazy, and this is going to sound really dumb, but just be thankful, man, that you saw it. That you found out.
Be thankful.
I'm serious.
But that's funny that you said that.
You found out that you ain't 5 years married, then found out that somebody crazy.
And I was gonna say thankful.
I'm not trying to be smart. I'm just saying.
But no, I understand what you're saying.
Just be grateful that
it
was a hard lesson.
It's a hard lesson.
What I learned.
Hard lesson learned. I think grateful.
What you want to go through life.
Gratitude.
You want to go through life and stuff is going to happen, and some stuff is going to happen that you can't control. And you're going to go through life because you got to figure out what you want to do. Are you going to be the kind of person that's going to let anybody in, so you have to worry about somebody hurting you or letting you down? You'll keep everybody at odds in, hands lifted away, or you always be the suspicious person. Or what does Devin want? Devin's being nice to me today. He must want something. Or you're going to be the person that's going to enjoy life. Say, okay, so I'm going to get some people in my life who want to be worth letting in, and some people are not. I'm going to do my best to scrutinize and figure out who's who. But some people are going to slip through the crack. So now I got to figure out if I'm going to let Devin screw up every relationship I have after this. I got to make that decision.
Yeah, that's a great point and a nice way to look at it. I think,
there's
some takeaways from here tonight.
Look, and I didn't mean grateful like have a party. What I meant was
thank you so much.
But just
for slapping me with that egg. No, but I understand what you're saying. Like,
but at least you found out.
Right. I guess you found out that it happened.
You weren't engaged
before it was a
yeah. Well, you married everything. You sitting there chilling,
and then you find out
everything. This stuff come flying by your head.
You're right. I'd rather find that out early on than later on. So it's like,
it's kind of like to have the glass half empty, the glass half full.
I guess that's what I was saying in terms of, again, like speaking about the situation on multiple occasions with multiple people. I was able to see and hear different things and have a different approach of looking at it. And like even from you, kind of, even when you're saying being thankful, probably not in that moment, but painting that picture of like, man, this could be worse.
Because Wayne said something that you said. What do you mean depending on who you're dealing with? because I think that's what these guys were saying about whether they deserve to be forgiven or not. So I don't know if you still hear me, Wayne.
It depends.
He said that, so I'm just curious.
I'm just saying.
curious.
Good to see somebody out there agree with me. I'm not being crazy. He thinks I'm
But
crazy.
I don't know. I don't operate that way. But I will tell you, I didn't grow up like this. I had to grow into this.
Yeah, all right, and that's maybe
I had to grow into this. I didn't grow up with this mentality. I had to grow into it.
that's a good
I'm
point to
still
me.
growing.
Yeah, I was about to say I'm still growing.
Still working process.
I'm at the second stage.
I'm just saying, but I do realize the importance of it, man. I just think so. I see it and hear people all the time.
No, that's why we got 3 different generations here.
But I see and hear people all the time, and they're bitter about stuff, man. They can't control it, and it's making their life bitter.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you gotta enjoy life, man. I mean, that's one thing I learned because of the things that I've been through. But life is not promised, man. And who wants to leave here being angry at somebody? Who wants to leave here with a grudge or somebody? Or the thing is, then the person died, now you want to go to the funeral and say all this nice stuff. So I think, to me, it's not worth it to be carrying around a lot of ill feelings and stuff, man. I mean, and I get it. It's easy for people to push your buttons. I gave example MLK Day. I give example. I'm talking to somebody and they're ignorant to certain things and they act like that's a fact. I get it. The worst thing you could do to me is insult my intelligence. I can take pretty much anything else. But if I think you purposely try to insult my intelligence, you think you're smarter than me, then that's something that I struggle with. But I learned to move on. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying you wake up. I learned to move on because I do understand this. If you're going to be in business, or it depends on the arena you're in, you're going to come across people like that because that's people. That is people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you're going to come across. So how much of my time am I going to waste? No, I'm not. I refuse to waste my time with people like that. I'm not going to give you the power to make me not forgive you because I'm not going to think about you. You ain't even worth. If you do this to me, you're not even worth me thinking about you. That's my philosophy. I ain't gonna walk around saying, "Man, this person." No, because I think it takes up too much time. It takes up too much energy. And there's other things. Don't you think you have enough stuff on your plate right now?
Again, I think it's all dependent upon who it is that we're talking about. Like, what's the relationship?
I'm waiting for Wayne to tell me what he thinks about
that you have with that person.
Like, dependent upon. You keep saying. So you gave an example. So you saying is if it's somebody that you're in a relationship with, that's different than because I'm trying to figure out what's the difference.
There's a drastic difference if I felt like it would probably never happen where I feel like one of you guys did me wrong versus somebody else on the street, another friend. You know what I mean? Like I would be way more hurt because you guys are closer to me. So, same thing in a relationship. Like if I felt like
as a father,
at a point in time,
father, when your kids do something and it hurts you. So
I'm a child.
But you forgive and you move on because you realize that you're human. And a lot of times, and I'll say because I felt like this with my dad, and if I reflect back on our times and times we had disagreements, it was more my own expectations that created that. That put me in a position where because and a lot of times it is. A lot of times we don't forgive somebody, but your expectations create that situation. And because you want this person to be something they're not.
Family, those are some of the examples right there. Like there's certain people where
he covered up, bring women cracking nothing up with the dog in the chat.
It hurts a little bit more. If Roxy did something crazy to me, if my dog did something, I would be highly upset. But no, I think it does matter in a sense. Like it hurts a little bit more.
I stick by what I said. I stand by what I said before. I think this is an area that's really great because it's different for everybody.
Yeah,
everybody has a different threshold, and as I said before, I grew into where I am now, and I like to think it's because of spiritual maturity. I like to think because I don't hang around the same kind of people anymore, so it's kind of less likely. But there's still people and that I got to be careful of, that I got to keep an eye open about. I know that.
Yes.
I know that there's people who you can do stuff for over and over and over again, and the first time you say no will stab you in the back. But I have to make a decision if I'm going to give this person the power not to forget. And no, I'm just going to move on. I'm just telling you ain't going to get me again. I'm going to move on.
Yeah.
There's just no room for you in my inner circle. There's not.
Yeah, understood. I mean, it's
That's
definitely one of those things.
That's where I go to.
I think it's something that has to be practiced. You definitely need to practice.
But I say first it starts in your mind. You have to be conscious about your decision and say, I forgive and I'm moving on. It can't be something that you say it, but you just don't. You know, every time something happens, you bring it up, and this is what I meant about
And then something come up.
about it.
I'm gonna get her.
You know,
I'm gonna
you just got to kind of, you got to make a conscious decision. The second thing about it is now you got to make an effort. You got to do something, man. You know, find something else to do. Whenever you start thinking like that, find something else to do to distract you. You know, it's like the perfect example. You know, I'm finishing up this fast. It's been hard. Part I gave up, Devin left. TV was one of the things I gave up. You know, TV, pasta.
You ever see our cereal bowl?
TV, pasta, meat, chocolate, soda, bread, and it's been hard. But you know what? Whenever I get hungry, I start craving those things. I start reading. I put my hand to something else. You know, I get tipped like Devin was watching the football game the other day. Yo, I wanted to see what's name put up 70 points. No, I mean, it's came across my phone. Yeah. But so I had to distract myself. But it's the same thing. When you start having those feelings, you got to distract yourself. You got to find something else to do, man. You know, like you can't be upset because your girlfriend hurt you, then you go watch a love story. Come on, you just firing the flame, man.
The Notebook.
Yeah. Or what's that thing?
One of the most toxic love stories of all time.
Or not even that. The thing where they killed love made me do it. They knocking off their partners. You know? So I mean, you got to find something. You know, to me, I'll read my Bible. I got a bunch of books over there. Get my library back together. Bring those books I got back there again. I'm reading stuff. You got to.
Not a reader. Go to the gym. Do something. Figure it out.
Go to the gym. You were laughing. I do my 30-minute workout every day. You got to find something else to distract you.
I think that's a big part of it too. Yeah.
No, you jog. You don't jog.
Finding things, constructive things.
But I know compared to a lot of people my age, I'm in great shape.
Finding constructive things.
But that's my point. It's different. You got
all right.
That bar right there.
About
hand with. That's enough for me.
I think just write about it. That was my
thing. There you go.
And that's really helped me.
But find your thing.
Get to that place of being able to be like, all right.
Take that unforgiveness and be creative and write a story about it.
Yeah, I'm over it.
Like, there you go.
I mean, like you said, grateful for the moment is a life lesson. You can kind of move on from there.
Wayne said
but
the
I
same
still
thing.
struggle with,
Wayne said the same thing.
Being forgiven.
Going to the person he is today.
Being forgiven. I'm still growing.
I'm for that. I'm
still growing.
No, I'm kidding.
I'm still growing.
Maybe we need to do a part 2.
Maybe.
Because this is a great episode.
Y'all not changing. Part 2, we can do part 8. And y'all still it'll be part 8. And y'all still be sitting
I might be growing by that time. Like by the next time we talk about it, there might be some growth.
Part number 32. If we change our stance,
it might be some growth. You never know.
Y'all rough. They take that to their mom on this part. They got the same me.
I mean, I think like I said, I'm kind of circumstantial a little bit. Like I think I am pretty forgiving. I think there are some things where it's just like, but then there are times where I'm just like, I can't believe you or this person, or like, oh my gosh, like what were you thinking? Obviously not about me, and that hurts. That like clearly somebody's making a selfish decision that much.
My goal is, and it's hard. My goal is to try to live a life of total peace. That's my goal. I want to look at where I'm at in life, man. I say, man, I'm at this age of my life now, man, and it's not perfect because, things happen, man. Backing into the garage today, man, I hit the mirror on the thing, not paying attention, man. It just, oh man, things happen. But I want peace. I'm not going to have peace and walk around here mad at somebody. You know what I mean? I'm not going to have peace if I'm just walking around feeling unforgiveness. And we can close on this. It's the same thing that people can't forget themselves. No, because I just realized, when you go to funerals, man, there's no coming back from that, man. And one funeral I went to, his name was Little. He was invincible growing up, man. This dude was like, invincible. And it's just a reminder, man, that it don't last forever.
Yeah. And life catches everybody.
It does, man. And it's not on your terms. Yeah. So you got to control the things you can control, man, because when it's over, it's over. There's no overtime. There is no mulligan. No, when it's over, it's over. So how much of your time you going to waste, man, not forgiving? People, I'm not coming to the funeral because of this or because of something somebody did. That's crazy.
Wasted time.
That's crazy. I'm not speaking to my son. I'm not speaking to my daughter. I'm not speaking to my parents. That is crazy.
Yeah. Yeah,
Because you don't know. Then you go to funeral and boo-hoo like everybody else. Like, come on, man. Oh, I wish I would have said this. No, I'm not saying again, you got to go back and allow them to do it again, but you can apologize. Yo, if you're listening right now, you can pick up the phone and say, I'm sorry. Because check this out. You can be right in attitude. Right in knowledge, but wrong in attitude. You can be right when it comes down to whatever the situation is. But if you handle it wrong, are you really right?
Just as wrong, right? Yeah.
So I think it's important, man, that we focus on how can we have stronger relationships with our kids, with our wives, with our children, friendships. How do we have those things? I've known Wayne since high school. I know Tommy since first grade. I know Isaac since kindergarten. There's a bunch of guys I've known for a long period of time. And one thing that I do say is, it wasn't always perfect between us. But I think, and now I'll start here. I think if you had more dads that practice forgiving and that could teach forgiveness, we would have stronger families. I think we would. As Devin's watching Incredible Hulk get crushed by these little kids.
The video ended. But no, I do think like forgiveness is one of those things that it's not talked about. And we don't talk about, how to even do it. Like
we talk about getting even.
Yeah, we always talk about getting even, getting mine, get my
You want to take that?
Stand on business.
Stand on business.
I don't know those terms. So
we'll explain that one to you off here.
I don't want to know.
I think we had a great topic tonight. Like Devin said, I feel like we could dive into this on so many more levels here. And
why my kids don't forgive.
Yeah.
That's gonna be the topic. That's gonna be the top of our show. Why my kids don't forgive.
Listen,
because I know Nicole. She's the same way. Nicole like a pit bull, man.
It's situational.
Ain't letting it go.
I really do feel like it depends. It depends the day of the week.
And that's why I'm working on Mackenzie to be different.
Well, maybe it skips us and it gets time. But hey, I don't see that happening. But definitely thank you all for tuning in for another great episode and conversation here tonight. Make sure you're out here, empowering, inspiring, and uplifting the community.
Like, follow, subscribe, share, comment.
Yes.
Interact with us. We're on all platforms, guys.
Shout out to Charles Abbey for tuning in. He stopped there and waved at us and got out of here. Your boy Clifford, I'm assuming that's how you say that. Thank you for tuning in. Antoinette Nitty, I think I'm saying that right. Thank you too. And Mr. Wayne Lewis, thank you again for tuning in. And our Instagram family, we appreciate you guys.
Wayne, we the same generation, man. Great minds think alike.
y'all are forgiving generation. we aren't there yet.
Oh man, we're gonna get these guys.
Take it easy, everybody.
Man, we'll see you guys next week, man. Hey, enjoy, man. I need to close that.
Deuces.